Hi guys, welcome back to the YouTube channel and welcome to today's video. I hope you're all doing really well. As you can tell by the title, today's video is a hacks video. It is a budget-friendly toddler sleep hacks video. Now, I've been putting off doing a toddler sleep hacks video for a while now because I know it's so different for every single person. Everyone's toddler's different, everyone's temperament's different, everyone's sleep patterns are different, etc. So take everything that I'm going to say with a pinch of salt, obviously, because what might work for me might not work for you and vice versa. However, we have been working on this toddler sleep hacks kind of system for the last, I'd probably say year. So George, my son, is 2.5 now, and since he was 18 months, like properly in the throes of toddlerhood, I would say we've just been on and off and testing all of these different methods and trying to find out what works for us, and I finally found what seems to be, fingers crossed, the methods that's kind of work for us. And like I say, if I can share this with you and it helps you, then that's amazing, but I would definitely, like, everything's worth giving a shot, isn't it? So definitely stick around until the end to see what my favourite sleep hacks are for toddlers. But for now, let's crack on into the video. So my first budget-friendly sleep hack is literally completely free to do this, and it's probably the ultimate tip in terms of like toddler sleep, is sticking to a routine. And now I know that that is literally the same thing that everyone says, but it is so accurate and it's so helpful. It cannot be underestimated how much a routine is important to a toddler's sleep, because realistically, kids like routine. They don't like being pulled from pillar to post and things being different every day because they don't know what's coming. Certainly for us, in our household, just routine is the crux of getting things right of an evening. If we for some reason deviate from a routine, it's always hell. It never really works, and sleep is always, you know, put at risk because of that. And obviously every now and then you can't really help it. You can't stick to a rigid routine every single evening, but most of the time I really do try and stick to this, especially on like a weekday when we've got to get up for nursery and work in the morning. So I thought it'd be easy for me to just go through what our evening routine is, like bedtime routine, and just explain like sort of how this works for us. But find your own routine, find the things that make your toddler excited about bedtime. So our evening routine generally after nursery is we'll come home, give George a bit of a snack because he eats at nursery, and then probably about 6:30, 6:45, we'll come upstairs, run a bath. We always have all the bath toys in there. He actually plays with my husband's old action men, so he puts all of those in the bath with a boat and a shark. Whilst that's running, we brush our teeth together. Have to do it together because he won't do it without me, so we have to do it together. And then he knows that it's time to take off his clothes. Like, George is really, he doesn't like being cold, he doesn't like not having clothes on at the moment, so he doesn't like getting his clothes off until the last minute getting in the bath. Occasionally he doesn't like getting his clothes off at all until I get in the bath with him. I don't do this every single evening. If he's really excited to get into the bath, then like I'll just let him crack on, but sometimes I'm just like, I'll get in the bath with you, and then he really enjoys that as well. But we have to have a bath every single evening because he comes home from nursery and he's so grotty from the day, so have to have a bath. And then as soon as he's out of the bath, he's wrapped up like a bundle in a towel. We have a little cuddle, a little dance in the bathroom, and then he is sleepy, like instantly. It's like a magic little switch, because he knows that bath time and it's also relaxing, isn't it? And it just equals like coziness and the cuddles afterwards in the fluffy towel. So that is our evening routine for like bath time. Then we'll immediately go into his bedroom. He's not going anywhere else in the house. Once he's had his bath, straight into the bedroom. Then we'll pop on his nappy pants, pajamas, and then get him tucked into bed. Don't get me wrong, there are sometimes fights with this, but generally, because of the routine we've got like stuck out, he knows what's coming next. He knows that he needs to choose a book. I give him 2 options of a book and he chooses the book that he wants me to read. He lays down next to his teddies. I read him the book. At the last 2 pages, I always tell him, Mummy's gonna go after this, and he goes, Mummy go. Like, yeah, he understands, and I wait for him to tell me that he understands. And then once we have finished the book, again, I've told him, I've warned him that I'm going to go after this. After that, then I will, at the end, give him a kiss, and then I will leave the room. And I would say 8 times out of 10, if we follow that routine, obviously depending on his, mood and things like that, but 8 times out of 10 it does work, and he's happy for us to leave the room like that. And what I would also say is when my partner does bedtime, he does the exact same routine, so he knows that that is bedtime, like that is how bedtime is supposed to go. Obviously sometimes there are hiccups, but we just try and reinstate the routine. If he tries to get up out of bed, if he tries to follow us out of the room, etc, etc, we just pop him back in bed, say, George, I've read your book, and then mummy's gonna go. And then we kind of do that. If we have to do it a couple of times, fine. And he's always, trying to do the distraction techniques and longing out the process of he's thirsty, he's hungry. But yeah, eventually we get there. But we stick to the routine, and like I say, 8 times out of 10 it works first time, which is amazing. So yeah, finding a routine and sticking to it as rigidly as possible, it just works. It just is honestly the best hack and advice I could give for toddler sleep from our experience anyway. Hack number 2 is to create a consistent atmosphere. And what I mean by that is obviously going to sleep in the same room every single night. We got into a bit of a routine of, him falling asleep in our room and then him falling asleep in his room and sometimes even falling asleep downstairs, and it was all just a little bit everywhere. It kind of rolls into the whole sticking to a routine thing, but the atmosphere one I think is one of its own, because for us that kind of looks like a dark bedroom with a red nightlight and a lullaby playing, and that is George's atmosphere. That's his sleep atmosphere. He knows when the room looks like that and we go into it, it is bedtime. Don't get me wrong, he's not always happy about the fact that it's bedtime, but he knows that that is what's coming, and most of the time when he's tired, it just helps. The reason that we have a red nightlight is because red stimulates melatonin, which helps with sleeping. So we have a okay to wake clock, which is basically a nightlight and a lullaby shush sleep sound thing all in one, and I absolutely love it, and it really helps to get that atmosphere consistent for him every single night. We've actually just got it on a timer. We can change it from our phone if we wanted to, but it's just on a timer, and I think it's been on the same timer since like July, so he just knows what's happening, what's coming, and yeah, it's just consistent for him, which is perfect. That's exactly what I wanted. And obviously you don't have to have this exact nightlight with the lullaby, you don't have to have that exact atmosphere, but whatever atmosphere works for you is going to be beneficial. So if that is a blackout blind, perfect. If you don't want to do blackout blinds, don't do it, but make sure that you're consistent with it. Like I said, for us, dark room, red nightlight and a lullaby playing are the 3 like perfect ingredients of George sleeping. But if you prefer white noise or no noise or a blackout blind or whatever those things might be, then definitely just make sure that it's a consistent atmosphere and you won't be able to go wrong. Hack number 3 is a big one, and it's one that I've had to learn the hard way, is to get some really good nappy pants for bedtimes to avoid the dreaded Poonamis. I don't need to tell you how awful it is getting up in the middle of the night to do washing because your toddler has leaks everywhere and it's just an absolute nightmare. Thankfully, a really budget-friendly way of doing this is by using the Pampers and nappy pants. I'm actually working with Pampers on this part of the video, and they actually are giving away a full value coupon for free to anyone that uses the sign up on their website. So I'll pop all the details in the description box as well, but who doesn't want some free nappies, especially if it's going to save on those midnight wake-ups and inevitably those Poonami lags the next day when you just have had the worst night's sleep ever because you've been up doing stuff in the middle of the night. I don't know about you guys, but for me, getting a good night's sleep is vital to just be functioning the next day, especially at the moment being pregnant. I can't survive on caffeine like I used to. I'm only allowed 2 instant coffees a day, if that. So I need to get a good night's sleep, and there's nothing worse than getting up in the middle of the night and having to faff around with things like bed sheets and worrying about, disinfecting things and all of this stuff. I don't want to be doing that in the middle of the night. I want to be firing on all cylinders the next day, either ready to go to work or ready to look after my toddler and myself and my growing bump. I do not want to be getting up in the middle of the night and changing pooey bed sheets, let's face it. By using these bad boys, you won't have that. Ultimately, this is the biggest hack you're ever going to use. Like I said, we have learnt this the hard way, and George has woken up in the night. I kid you not, it was everywhere. And the thing is with toddlers, they don't just leave it, do they? They don't just say, "Mummy, you know, I've just done something, come and help me." They love to like smear it everywhere, but that was because obviously it had leaked and it'd gone everywhere. Luckily I had a mattress protector on, but now I don't even need to worry about that. I used to have hacks where I was like layering up all the mattress protectors because I was really worried about Poonami leaks and things like that, whereas now I really don't have to worry about that because I'm just using the Pampers nappy pants. There's nothing worse than getting up in the middle of the night anyway, but getting up in the middle of the night and having to actually do something like clean up after a Poonami. It just wakes you up, and then you're kind of, you know, the next day you're never on full form because you're knackered because you've had to do stuff like that in the middle of the night, which before being a parent I honestly couldn't even think that would be something that my life would turn into, but here we are. Like I mentioned, the thing with these nappies, the Pampers pants, is they've got the stop and protect pocket here, so even if it's about to come up their back, this protective layer will stop it, as well as it being like double cuffed around the legs. Let's face it, Pampers know what they're doing when it comes to nappies. And if you wanted to try out how good the Pampers nappy pants are for yourself and, you know, save yourself the agate I've been saving myself recently, then you can sign up on the website, on the Pampers website, which I'll link down below, and get a full value coupon for absolute free. And for toddlers, we can't not buy nappies, and we obviously want to get the best. So if you did want to get a full value coupon for the Pampers Poonami proof pants, then just sign up on their website and you can get a full value coupon, which is just perfect. My toddler George is actually having a nap as we speak, and he is wearing a Pampers Poonami proof pant, so I know that I'm not going to be disturbed while I'm making the rest of this video. Moving on to my toddler sleep hack number 4 is to use bananas. I know that sounds weird, so let me explain. So using bananas as a bedtime snack, or basically just giving your kids bananas like later in the day, either as a dessert after dinner time or as a pre-bedtime snack, encourages melatonin, which is the sleep hormone, the same one that the red light on the night light actually produces. So it basically encourages sleep. I think it's also conducive to serotonin, which is also really conducive for sleeping. So basically bananas apparently help your kids sleep through the night, and I have to say George loves bananas. So what I've been doing is doing oat and banana sort of pancakes or oat bars as like a dessert. I also have it as a breakfast with George quite a lot, but since I heard about bananas being this like massive sleep inducing thing, I started giving him these sort of banana oats like bars and like cakey kind of things that I just do either in the air fryer or on the hob, and then I give them to him as a dessert, and he loves them, absolutely wolfs them down, and then he's had a load of banana before bed, and I have to say it seems to work. It seems to work. So give it a go. Like, you can't go wrong. If your kid doesn't like, just play. If your kid likes banana just on its own, fine, go for that. If your kid's not that into it, then maybe try a recipe that's got mashed up banana in it, because they tend to be really sweet and yummy, and kids do tend to go for them. Like I said, the oat banana pancake that I do, you cannot go wrong. I just do mine in the air fryer. You can do them on the hob. You can even put these in the oven, and they'd be like either a pancake or an oat bar, whatever you want to call them. But there's loads of recipes online. I do a really straightforward one, which is literally just oats, mashed up banana, sometimes crack an egg into it, but you don't have to do that, a bit of baking powder, and then I also chuck in some blueberries or something like that, but you can put in chocolate chips if you wanted to. But if you want to keep it really healthy and, you know, don't put anything extra in, you don't have to. But the key thing is the banana. If you've got the banana in there, then hopefully, fingers crossed, it helps to produce that melatonin and serotonin that are really conducive to sleep. So hopefully that is one that works for you. I am very, very happy that that is a hack that we have found out. Budget friendly hack number 5 is to make it fun. Make bedtime fun, make the routine fun. Everything's really exciting. You know, choosing a book's really exciting. Use your mum voice, like, come on. I was always a bit like cringed out at pre-being a parent, but actually it's literally the thing that works for us. Making things exciting when I want George to do something, making out it's his idea, foolproof, absolute foolproof. So making things like the dolls and the teddies in his bed really exciting, making the book really exciting, like, wow, what are we going to read tonight? Are we going to read Tyrannosaurus Drip? or are we going to read Room on a Broom? Which one do we want to read? Whoa, I can't wait for you to choose. And the face on him, like his face lights up. He gets really excited just because my tone of voice, and I'm looking at him really engaged. And I'm, you know, looking forward to reading that book because I get something back from him at this point. I think as toddlers, they are actually giving back to you rather than when they're babies, when you're reading to them, it's like, yeah, they might point and they might, you know, and they are getting something from it, of course they are, but as a toddler they are really engaged, and like George is, you know, pointing out different things in the book, saying new words that I've never heard him say before because it's coming up in the book, and it's just like, I really love that time, and I think he knows that I love it and he really enjoys it because I'm fully engaged with him. Obviously no phone, no like music playing, like nothing, like just fully engaged with what we're doing, which is always when you get the best out of them, isn't it? So yeah, making it all really exciting for him is definitely the thing that I love the most. And at the moment, his favourite book, and I would definitely say it's not necessarily a hack, but finding a series of books or books that are similar once you realise they like them is a massive, massive game changer. So we adore, and I'm sure a lot of you guys do as well, the Julia Donaldson books. I really like them because they're actually really fun to read. Lots of them are rhyming and I find the stories quite fun. George adores them. He loves all of the illustrations on them, which they are really, really good. And again, he loves the rhyming. There's one which is the smartest giant in town, I think it's called, or the friendliest giant in town. I can't remember what it's called, but anyway, the giant is called George, which he loves, obviously. He loves Tyrannosaurus Drip, he loves Monkey Puzzle, all of the Julia Donaldson books. And actually there was a set that I got him for Christmas, which came with 10 Julia Donaldson books, and it was only like £15, maybe even £20, but it works out to like £2 a book. So good, and for this age, I would say from the age of 2 probably. I don't know what they recommend, but I would say, like, I've been reading them to George since he was about 2. They're just perfect. They're so good. So I'll actually link that exact Amazon link down below where you can get that set because it's such a good bargain and the books are brilliant. They're so good. Anyway, by making it all really exciting for them and being fully engaged with them, I think it just makes bedtime itself a really exciting time of the day rather than it feeling like a bit of a punishment. That's definitely one of the things that I've found to be, yeah, the most beneficial when it comes to actually bedtime rather than like sleeping through the night. It's just like the actual bedtime is enjoyable, so he's definitely enjoying it and going down a lot smoother. Budget friendly hack number 6 is definitely to give choices. I think toddlers, they just want to be heard, they just want to be listened to, and they want to feel like they're in control. Standard, right? George is very headstrong. I don't know about you or toddlers, but wow, is this kid headstrong. And if he feels like he's not listened to or he's not getting his own way, he flips out, and there's no way of telling him no. You just have to be crafty about it, basically. Like in my sort of experience with my toddler, everyone's toddler is so different. Some toddlers might react really well to, like, you know, authority and like discipline and rigid like structure like that. Obviously, like I said earlier, like a routine is great and it works for us as well, but I have to make it out like it's his routine that he is in control of. And you know, there are boundaries, like we definitely do certain steps in the routine, we always do. But basically what I've done now is everything I can give him an option for, I will. So I'll give him 2 options for pyjamas. Do you want to wear Paw Patrol pyjamas tonight, or do you want to wear Fire Engine pyjamas tonight? And he'll choose and he'll go, and then he'll point to the ones, and then he'll be really happy that I've listened to him when I'm putting his pyjamas on tonight. So those kind of things for pyjamas. Same with the book, I give the choice of the book. I choose 2 books out of the book. Rather than giving him a choice of like 20 books, I will choose 2 books from the shelf and I'll ask him which one he wants to read. Occasionally he says no, neither of those, and he chooses a different book, which is fine too, but I don't want to give him the choice of like 20 different options to overwhelm him. But I always give him 2 options. We actually used to do 2 or 3 books a night and it just got too much, and it was because he was like choosing loads of things and he just wanted like decisions. He wanted to make decisions, and I think he was also longing out the process of bedtime, whereas now it's very strictly 1 book, but he gets to choose the book, which I think is really exciting for him, and it definitely seems to work. Like I said, toddlers just want to be listened to. Obviously now he's at a stage like where he can communicate what he wants, you know, whether he actually wants it or not, at least he's being listened to. I've definitely found it a lot easier in terms of that bedtime routine. So that is definitely something I would say to give them choices. Hack number 7 is to avoid making bedtime seem like a bit of a punishment. So we're all guilty of it. I'm guilty of it. Saying, if you carry on doing that, you're going to have to go to bed. It's probably the worst thing you can say because it makes bedtime sound like a punishment, right? I've done that a million times, like I'm absolutely no saint in this, and I'm only saying this because I've been on the back end of this where it's gone terribly wrong in terms of making bedtime, like in the day, you know, seem like a punishment because I've said things like that. And then it comes to bedtime and he hates it. And I'm like, why do you hate bedtime so much? You know, it's because I've made it sound like a punishment. So I've certainly learnt from experience and I've learnt from my mistakes that making it sound like a punishment and a bad thing isn't ever going to go well at bedtime. So making, you know, bedtime seem exciting rather than sounding like a punishment is definitely something that I've learned has, you know, we've turned the tide when it comes to that, because now bedtime's, you know, a fun, enjoyable experience rather than a punishment and a fight. I think it's really hard though, because obviously when you've had a whole day of being a parent and, you know, your toddler is testing your patience and stuff, you're gonna want to outburst and you're gonna want to say things like that. You're gonna want to shout. You're gonna want to, you know, there are some days where it's almost impossible to say things like that. But I've definitely reduced how much I say that, and if I feel like I need to say it, I'll sort of just go into the other room and go, no, right, breathe, compose yourself, go back in, don't show him that, you know, me at almost boiling point, and try and just reframe it in my mind and knowing that what I'm doing short term is going to affect the long term, and I think that's the same for everything. It's all about mindset, right? It's all about remembering, you know, it's all fine, breathing, composing yourself. It's really hard sometimes, guys, it's really hard. But it's certainly something that I'm working on myself, and I'm definitely seeing results. So it doesn't just go for bedtime, this goes for like in all walks of life, especially with parenting a toddler. Like even getting out of the door for nursery, like it used to be this big fight, and now I'm basically using all of these examples, like giving him choices, taking my time, making it sound really exciting, you know, letting him like take the lead a little bit as well, rather than like rushing him, telling him exactly what to do, rushing him out the door. You know, it used to be a big fight because I wasn't in the best headspace whilst I was doing it, whereas now I just have to take it as it is, and if things don't go right, it doesn't, you know what, if I'm late for work or if he's late for nursery, it doesn't matter, and I feel like I'm letting go of that. And if bedtime doesn't go as smoothly as possible, I'm letting go of the fact that it's fine, it doesn't have to be perfect, we'll get there eventually, but maintaining that calm, sort of composed message, I think, is the most important thing, and it's going to be beneficial for my mental health as well as George's. So that is something that I've learned, and I kind of wanted to just get that across in this video. Whether that's a hack or not, I'm not entirely sure, but I definitely wanted to share it because it's something that I've learned a lot from. And then finally, hack number 8 is to do with wake-ups. So I don't know about you guys, but my toddler wakes up in the night occasionally. I say occasionally, it's quite often, although it is coming down and down and down. We went through a really, really rough patch for about, I'd say 2 months, maybe longer. It felt like longer. It was just hard. He was waking up in the night, constantly demanding to come into our bed, and I mean, like, he was screaming at us. Like, there was no negotiating with this child at this point. It was ridiculous. No matter what we did, we tried so many different methods. We would go in, we would sit with him, we would try and console him. He was inconsolable. I would try and lay with him, nothing. He would just be running up and literally like headbutting the gate. Like, he has a stair gate on his bedroom, and he was like headbutting the gate and he was kicking it. Like, he would have literal bruises down his knee from where he was like kneeing this gate. It was just insane. And I think probably the wake-ups were also related to the fact that we had all of these other bad habits, I would call them, in terms of the bedtime routine, in terms of where we would let him sleep or go to sleep, and we just didn't have like a fixed routine basically. And this was basically during early stages of my pregnancy, my partner wasn't here, my partner works away, and I was suffering with sickness, you know, I was giving myself some grace, to be honest, and I was just like letting, you know, George come into my bed eventually, because we had moments where he was so loud, so hysterical, that our neighbours were banging on the like wall, basically, obviously, like passive aggressively, fairly aggressively telling us to shut our kid up. I say us, it was just me in the house, and obviously I just wanted him to be quiet as well, but I was trying to, you know, figure out a way of getting him back to sleep in his own bed, but it just didn't work. Anyway, what I'm gonna say now is basically just sticking to that routine, even when it comes to wake ups, which is the hardest thing to do in the middle of the night when you are tired, exhausted, pregnant, sick, will take your pick. Like, it's just so difficult to go back in calmly and redo that routine. But the routine that we did right at the beginning of this video, actually doing that in the middle of the night again, it helps. It really works. Like, I've done this a few times where he has woken up. I've gone back in straight away as soon as I hear him, before he gets the chance to like get really worked up. As soon as I hear him, go back into his room, say, George, it's okay, we're going to go back to bed now, and mummy will read you a book, and we'll kiss the teddies and the daddies. You've got to look after the teddies and the daddies, and we're going to go back to bed. And sometimes he'll be like, no, mummy, mummy bed, mummy bed. And I say, no, darling, we don't sleep in mummy's bed, we sleep in George's bed. George's bed is so much better than mummy's bed. And then I'll go around his room and point out all of the animals that he's got in his room, and I'll point out all the books, and I'll point out loads of things that he loves, and I'll point to, he's got like this big thing in his room of loads of different animals, and we'll point to loads of them and name them. And then just where I'm talking to him in a really calm way, he eventually listens. It doesn't always happen straight away. If I went in all guns blazing, like, right, get back to bed, what are you doing? Or I was like really worked up, like tired, exhausted, and, you know, shouting or whatever, which has happened, don't get me wrong, it wouldn't work. It would never ever have worked. It's just like I'm letting out my emotion, like he's letting out his emotion. So going back in and recreating that routine that we did already, it seems to work most of the time. It takes a long time, and in the middle of the night, that's the last thing you want to do. But those occasions that were happening every single night, probably even twice a night at one point, which were really, really hard to deal with, actually now rarely happen. They rarely happen because I don't know why, actually. I really don't know why. Maybe it was a regression. Maybe it was because of that routine. I don't know. But if it ever does happen, I go back in and it's so much quicker. I'm in and out within 5 to 10 minutes rather than the whole 45-minute rigmarole that I was going through before, because he was fighting me so much. Actually now it's like 5-10 minutes once I've done the whole read him a book. Sometimes I'll skip a couple of pages through the book because he's quite tired anyway, like he doesn't know 100%, but I will still sit there and read with him. I'll do the voices and all that kind of stuff. I'll kiss all the teddies, I'll kiss all the daddies, I'll give him a kiss goodnight, and then if he lets me walk out of the room at that point, then they're in the clear. It's hard going, it really, really is, and I'm not saying this is going to work for everyone, but this is what worked for us, for George, and I had to share it because, oh my gosh, it was painful when it wasn't working, guys. It was hard, and it was in the depths of the first trimester for me as well, when I was pregnant with, well, I am still pregnant, but when I was in early days of pregnancy, George wasn't sleeping, I was on my own in the nights, and I was on my knees. So I wanted to watch loads of these videos, these toddler hacks videos. I couldn't find loads, but I've definitely found some tips across the internet, and I wanted to bring in the ones that worked for us throughout basically this whole, you know, year really of trying to get our toddler to sleep through the night and not, you know, get those awful lags the next day where we're just like dreading the day ahead because we're so tired. So these are the things that worked for me, and I really hope that at least 1 or 2 of them work for you. Don't forget, if you did want to pick up a free pack of Pampers, then you can go on the website and you get a free full value coupon for the Poonami proof pants with the Stop and Protect pocket, the double layer cuffs on the legs. you are not going to be woken up by Poonamis in the middle of the night, and you're not going to suffer with Poonami lag the next day, which by the way is a phrase that Pampers have coined. Instead of jet lag, Poonami lag. I love it. But yeah, don't forget to sign up down below and then you'll get a free pack of Pampers, which, come on, we all want this in our lives. But yeah, I hope you have enjoyed this video, guys. Let me know if you have any toddler hacks of your own, sleep hacks or otherwise. I would love to read them. I'm always on the lookout to learn more when we cross another hurdle, because there'll be another hurdle thrown our way, no doubt, really, really soon. So any hacks you have, I would love to hear them. And let me know if you want me to do any more hack videos like this, because I do really enjoy doing them. But yeah, I'm definitely no expert. I'm just a mum trying to survive this life, and I'm trying to share anything that I can that helps us. But yeah, for now, I'm gonna love you and leave you, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye, guys.
'Cause you glue all the pieces back together. Yeah, you take all my wrongs and make them better. Yeah, you're making me wanna try forever. And I feel so free, oh my sweet baby.